just a quick share on what a test in Google Forms can look like. So this is the test that is already formatted, broken down into the different sections. What you want to give to your students is this preview, this eyeball. This is very important that what they get is this, not this, because they can edit and change the test themselves. So you hit this preview button, and up here is this URL. This is what the student must have, this very long URL. But of course, you can use a URL shortener or QR code scanner in order for them to get into their test. The first thing, of course, that this test is asking for is their name. And that's really important. And I'm tell you what, it's really important to make sure you put first and last, because if you just put name, you may get just a first name and have to figure out who did which test. And then I like to start with just some general, they don't get points for these questions, but to make sure that the rules are reinforced about what we do when we take tests. Obviously, we can't use our notes, not our vocab notes. Maybe other notes can be allowed. We're not allowed to use a cell phone. And then in order to help with data collection, deciding which class period that you are in and making sure that they select that. Here is just a first question. It is about the setting. It is a multiple choice question, so maybe they put that down. You have another multiple choice type question, but this one came with a graphic, and this graphic is a quote from the story. And then again, another multiple choice question. They've answered just 3 questions. They move on to the next section. And now they're into a vocabulary section where they will once again answer these questions. Now, every student has maybe the same test questions, obviously, but these answer choices will be different for each computer, for each station, for each student, just so that maybe we can eliminate a little less cheating whenever they look over maybe another student's computer screen. Now we're getting into what is called the multiple choice section here, or the written response section, written response. And here they'll type in their answer. I'm not going in, going on. And this particular question, they have to analyze the response to the story in 2 different artistic mediums. So they have to compare these 2 versions of the story that they read in class, but they have, one is a trailer of some sort, and they can watch that. They can link to it. The other is, I believe, a Lego version of the story. And again, they can link to it and they can watch these 2 versions. So you can insert this type of video. Now, down here, they would put their answer. But let's say they just didn't feel like doing an answer. Well, too bad. This warns them that they have to put in answers, which is great in case they skip around or something like that. And you will unfortunately get some answers like that, but it happens. At the end of the test, you can choose to let them view their score or not view their score. It's all within when you set the test itself up. I don't typically allow them to view the score in the middle of testing because take a look at this. It's great. It's awesome feedback, but they now know what the wrong answer is and may be willing to share it with another class period later in the day or a student sitting beside them. So I typically do not allow them to view these responses. And naturally, your written responses are going to come up all as incorrect because they must be hand checked by the teacher. If we close these out, these tests that were taken, and we come back to the original test that I made, you can now see that, oh, I have 2 responses. I've had 2 students take the test. So I click over here to my response section, and this is my favorite part, this summary right here. So this summary is a great data collecting analysis of what has happened with the test. I've had 2 people named Stacy take the test. I've had one named Crizer, one named Sweeterman. I've had 50% of my 6th period, 50% of my 5th period take the test. But you can just get all this great data. I see I don't have anybody answering these particular questions right. 50% of the students answered that right. 100% of the students, and this happens in real time. As each student submits an answer, if you're sitting here on this page, you're going to see the updates occur and the graphs change. You can view question by question, which is probably my favorite way of being able to really quickly grade students on written responses. You see, I have these two written responses, and it looks like they cheated. They have practically the same answer. And then they didn't give much of a response, so I can go ahead and give them a 0. I can also just mark that it's incorrect. I can also mark that it is correct. Or I can give them partial points, which I really absolutely love about this. And you can quickly do this on a mobile device. You can go from one question to the next question to the next question. You can look at all question 14s. You see how they're all question 14s right here? And what's great too is I don't know which student wrote this. So I'm grading it solely based on what the question is, not any bias I may feel toward that particular student. So that's what it looks like when you look at, let's leave. If I wanted to look at each individual question that occurred on the test. So I have a lot of students that are answering this question 8 wrong. I can take a good look at it and see, well, which ones are coming up. Maybe more often. I mean, I think the summary shows you that best. But I do like the question section here, really for the written responses. The individual test is great if you really just have to see how a particular student did, how they answered every individual question. You have it there. So that's a quick, really fast how to do or what the Google Forms looks like as a test.